All right, we're going to look at percent of change one more time here. I know I've done a couple other videos for percent of change, kind of looking at it more basics. And now we're getting into a little bit more of a story behind it. Instead of just saying an item has changed price, now they're giving us a little bit more to it. So remember, we're always looking for three pieces when we're talking about percent of change. We want to know what was the new price, meaning what am I going to pay for it right now, today, at the checkout stand. Original value is what did it change from? Okay, so what was the original? That could have been before sales tax. That could have been yesterday. We're just looking at what was it originally. And then percent of change, remember this is a little tricky because of the wording. I'm not asking you specifically what percent did it change by, like what was the decrease or increase as far as like 20% off or something like that. Percent of change has to do with taking the 100% of the original item, whatever the cost was, and either adding a percentage to increase it or subtracting a percentage from 100. Because remember, this 100 represents the item, whatever the item is. That's 100% of the item cost. And I'm either increasing that cost, that's a percent increase, or I'm decreasing it, which would be a percent decrease. So that's the difference between percent change, as far as percent increase, percent decrease, or percent of change. So be careful about the wording. Wording matters. We need to make sure we're communicating correctly. So we're going to look for those three pieces. One of them will be missing. We're always missing one piece. That's the piece we're looking for. So let's go ahead and read the problem here. So the next model of a sports car will cost 5.4% less than the current model. Well, if it's 5.4% less, I already know I'm going to go with a decrease. It's going to go down. And it's going to go down by 5.4%. So I'm going to already look at that, and I'm going to say it's 1 minus, don't go 5.4 in your equation. You don't want to do this. That's 5.4%. We need to take this and turn it into a decimal by moving it 2 times. Here's my new decimal, and I fill these in with zeros. So it's going to be 0.054. So I'm going to subtract these so that I have my percent of change. So 1 minus 0.054. Don't forget that 0 there. This one matters. This one's a little bit more just proper to put in, but if you don't put that in the calculator, it's not going to mess anything up because it's going to automatically put it there. If you forget this 0, that will change your answer. So be careful about that part. So my percent of change, when I actually subtract 1 minus 0.054, I get 0.946. So the new price is going to be 0.946 of the original. So if I turn this back into a percentage, it would be 94.6%. So since it's not 100, it's less than 100, that's also telling me it went down. It's a decrease. Remember, the 100 stands for the item cost, whatever it was. So if it's smaller than 100, that means that it went down. If it's larger than 100%, that means that it's an increase. So that's just another way to look at that. When I have that 0 in front, that means decrease. If it's 1 or more, that means it was an increase. All right, so let's read the second sentence. The current model costs $34,000, just $34,000. I was going to add more to that, but $34,000. So current model, right now, it costs $34,000, but that's not necessarily what I'm going to pay. And I know I said that at the beginning, like, what am I going to pay today? But I want to buy the new model whenever it comes out. So that's going to be the new price, the new model. The original one is the cost of the current model right now, because that's what we're changing it from. And so I don't know the new model or the new value. So now I'm going to go to my little formula, and this is the same formula we've been using on quite a few of these videos now. You go the new value, and I'm going to use N for new, equals the percent of change times the original value. So I'm going to multiply 0.946 times 34,000, so 34000 equals, so the new price of the car is going to be $32,164, which makes sense. It went down, and I know it's a decrease. So it's logical as far as the decrease goes. Now, this is the price of the next model. So this was one of the questions, one of the ones I need to fill in on Alex. It was also asking, what's the decrease in price? So now I need to go back and just subtract. This was the current model. This is going to be the next model. And I'm just going to subtract these two amounts so I know what was the actual decrease in price. So this one I'd have to borrow all the way over here. This would turn into a 10, which I'd have to borrow again, turn into a 10, borrow again. And there's finally the 10. So 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 6 is 3. 9 minus 1 is 8. 3 minus 1 is, 3 minus 2 is 1. And 3 minus 3 is 0. So the actual change in price, it went down by $1,836. So again, just paying attention to the wording so that I make sure that I'm choosing either increase or decrease correctly. And then also make sure you're paying attention to what are they actually asking me to find. That's another, big one that we want to pay attention to. All right, so finding the sale price, given the original price and a percent discount. So we have an item is regularly priced at $85. So regularly priced, that means, normally I would pay $85 for it. So that's going to be our original price because that's my regular price. It is now priced at a discount of 95%. So now priced at a discount of 95%. So we want to make sure that we're paying attention to the wording there because now priced means right now, this is what I'm going to buy it for. And it's got a discount of 95%. So I'm decreasing because discount means decrease. I'm not sure what happened. I'll have to fix this. And let's see, is this a decrease? Or that should be an increase. And I don't know why there's such a space there. I'll fix that on the worksheet. So we do know it's going to be a decrease. 95%, remember I'm going to move that decimal 1, 2. So I'm going to have 0.95 in my equation. So I'm going to have 1 minus 0.95. So that's a huge discount because when I subtract 1 and 0.95, I'm only going to be left with 0.05. I'm only left with 5%. Because I could also think of this as 100% minus the 95%, if that makes it a little easier. And so you'd have 5 and then move the decimal. You can move the decimal after you subtract. That's perfectly fine. Just make sure you move the decimal before you start doing any actual calculations with it, because it will change your calculations by quite a bit if you don't move the decimal. So we're only going to pay 5% of this normal regular price. So we don't know what the new price is, but it does say use the ALEX calculator, so you're welcome to use a calculator this one. They're not asking us to not use a calculator like they did on the last video. So I have my new price is going to equal my percent of change times the original price. So my new price is going to be 0.05, whoops, too many zeros, times 85%, or sorry, $85. So I'm only going to pay $4.25 for that. Not sure what that item is, but I know quite a lot of people that will go, I'm just going to buy it because of how cheap it is at the current moment. So this can definitely create a kind of flash sale of items because people are going to be flooding in to buy this $85 item that they can now get for less than $5. All right, so that was the last video, I believe, on percent of change. And we're still focusing on not really having the new value. So that's kind of the one that they tend to omit on these ones. We started off with finding the percent of change, and now we're focusing on that new value. And this is definitely a very useful skill because this is something that we can do in the store very quickly. If I say there's 20% off an item, I can use this method to very quickly find out what am I going to pay for this item. Or calculating sales tax, because that's another big one, that when you walk in and you look at the cost of an item on the shelf, that's not what you're going to pay. You also have to include the sales tax. So, all right, go ahead and go on ALEX and give this a try.